In this video, I'm going to be ranking every single flyer that is currently in Ark Survival Ascended. At number 9, I'm going to have the Lymantria. This one, out of all the current flyers in the game, is definitely the least useful out of all of them. It's really low stamina, really low weight. It only has one attack, and it basically shoots a giant poison ball. And of course, I'd like to mention early in the video that I'm a PvE player, so some of these PvP things are not really as useful, even though I don't think the Lymantria is that useful in PvP either. I know one use is people like to use these to go into the Wyvern trench, to basically because you don't even really need them. You can kind of just sacrifice and kill them to go in the Wyvern trench. I don't really use them for that either, so I also don't really have them used for really anything. It's only a really early game, just getting around the map, and Scorched Earth is about all I need to use them for. At number 8, I have the Phoenix. I really wish I could put this one higher, but it's just not really the greatest. Mainly the reason it's not that great is because it's extremely hard to find, and of course I've heard it is easier to find them in Ark Survival Ascended. But I mean, still, then you have to go use this crazy taming method where you have to basically breathe fire on them, which I mean you could do like a fire wyvern or something. So it's not the easiest thing to get or tame because it's so hard to find, and it's not the easiest thing to tame. But once you do get it, it's not really great. I feel like you'd already have better flyers like wyverns and stuff, which of course we'll get into later. But you're already gonna have way better flyers by the time you get this thing. It is pretty quick and it poops out silica pearls, but I think there's way easier ways of getting silica pearls than farming them from the Phoenix, as well as it also smelts metal in its inventory, but I'd rather just use like an industrial forge or something else that I'd probably also have by this time when I get a Phoenix. At number 7, I have the Pelagornis. This one is actually pretty good, and we're starting to get into the better set of flyers now, and it's hard to rank them between here, but I think this is a good spot, mainly because it's not the greatest for mobility or anything. It's really low in stamina and weight, and you can't really get around the map that quick with it, but it does have a pretty useful ability, and it's being able to harvest organic polymer, which is probably my favorite use of this and makes it actually pretty useful, especially in the later game when I need a bunch of polymer. It basically gives a weight reduction on it as well, so it only weighs 1 pound per stack instead of 5 pounds, which is also pretty useful. So you can farm a ton of organic polymer, as well as it can land on the water, which is a pretty cool ability that not many flyers have, or any flyers have actually, so that is definitely pretty cool. At number 6, I have the Pteranodon. This one is definitely pretty good. It's low stamina and weight, but is extremely fast, so it's great for getting around the map, and it's super easy to tame, so you can get it really early game. Obviously, the best early game flyer, and the first flyer that people usually get, which is what makes it good, but it can also be used late game as well if you just need to get somewhere super quickly. This thing is still one of the fastest flyers in the game, as well as it can pick up some small dinos, but I don't really know how many dinos you actually need to pick up with this thing. It also has a barrel roll attack, which can do some decent damage, and allows it to basically boost forward, so if you need to get an extra boost of speed, you can use that as well. At number 5, I have the Terrajaa. This one is a really great one. It's pretty decent in speed. It's not the fastest one in the game, but it is pretty quick and can definitely outrun a lot of the main flyers in the game, as well as it has 360 turning radius, can move up and down super easily. The turning is absolutely insane, and it is one of the most useful features on here. It can also land on walls, which is really dope, as well as it has a 3-person saddle, so you can carry 2 other people on here, which is good, of course, if you have other people you want to move around or just move areas. As well as you can also use guns if you're on those other seats, so you can actually use guns in the back of this thing if you're on the passenger seat, which is another useful thing about it, as well as it also has a tech saddle. So having a tech saddle is a really cool feature. I wish more creatures in the game had tech saddles, because there's only 4 currently, which kind of sucks, but the tech saddle and the Terrajaa is sick. And at number 4, I have the Quetzal. This one used to be one of my favorite creatures in the game, but of course it's not as useful anymore because of the old flyer nerf, even though that was 7 years ago. But of course this thing got nerfed pretty bad, and it's now really slow, and since the RGTLC, it's not as useful as it used to be, but it still has a bunch of uses. It has a ton of weight, so you can carry a bunch of resources. Even if it doesn't have a weight reduction, you can still carry a bunch of stuff. It can also carry huge dinosaurs, so if you don't want to use cryopods or something, or for a while you couldn't even use cryopods in Ark Ascended, you can carry big dinos and tames around, which is another useful thing. Also for getting them into traps, which is great. As well as it has a platform saddle, which is the only creature currently in the game to have a platform saddle on the flyers anyway, and you could build stuff on the back, which is super useful. As well as you can build pens to carry tons of dinosaurs, so this thing does still have a lot of utility, even after all the nerfs. At number 3, I have the Argentavis. This is definitely one of the most useful creatures in the entire game, and it's really hard to pick between this one and number 2, which you'll see in a second, but it's just so much good about this. The only bad thing about it is, of course, it is really slow. But after that, I mean, it has insane stamina. You can go huge distances with this thing, as well as it has tons of weight, so you can carry a bunch of stuff, as well as it has weight reductions on tons of different resources. like metal and obsidian and crystal and all kinds of different stuff. You can basically have weight reductions on it and carry tons of resources. It also has its smithy and its saddle, which will allow you to build like extremely hard to build blueprints that you normally wouldn't be able to fit in like a smithy or something, which is really dope. As well as you can pick up creatures with a decent size like Ankies and Dodix, as well as you can attack them in your hands, which is also useful if you want to kill smaller dinos. Also, when you kill stuff, you get heal ability, which is another great useful use of it, because you can heal really fast just by killing something real quickly. At number 2, I have the Rinontha. This one is really hard to pick between the RG and the Rinontha, because of course the RG is way more useful like in the mid game and stuff, and ends up being one that you probably use more. But honestly, I think the Rinontha's abilities and all the stuff it can do just makes it better than the RG. And of course, it is really late game and it's really hard to tame, but once you get it, it is definitely worth it. It is extremely fast. You can get around the map. It's one of the fastest flyers in the game, so if travel is going to be great. It has the ability to like shoot resin out of its like butthole area, so you can basically kill a bunch of stuff from a range, which is really cool. As well as you can basically pick up structures with this thing. It's a really cool ability. You can pick up things like vaults and forges, and if you want to move them around your base, you can do it super easily, and it keeps all the stuff in them as well, so you can move stuff like vaults that you wouldn't be able to move before that had a bunch of stuff in them, and you can just move them that way. You can also pick up giant creatures like Rexes. There's no other flyer in the game that can pick up a Rex, but this one can, and of course that is already super useful. You can move it into a trap, or just move a new one you tamed to your base, or do whatever you really want with it. It's absolutely great. As well as it can also go underwater, like the only flyer that can actually fly underwater, not fly underwater, but it can go just straight into the water and start swimming around, which is insanely useful. A flyer that you go around the entire map, and then if you need to do something underwater, you can just dive underwater real quick and swim. That is insanely useful. But at number 1, I have the Wyvern. This is my favorite creature in the game, so obviously I'm going to put it at number 1. But I definitely think it is worth the number 1 spot. It has got a lot of stamina and a bunch of weight as well, so you can carry stuff around the map. It's great for just doing everything you need, as well as it's great for killing stuff as well. It does a bunch of damage, and they have the breath attacks. You got the fire one with the giant fire breath, you got the lightning one, which just instantly obliterate everything in its path, and then you got the poison one, which shoots the giant poison balls that can do some decent damage. So the breath attacks are absolutely great. You can pick up large creatures as well with this thing, so if you need to move them around, that's also a great thing that it has. You can also go around the map and use the ability on the ground to basically get thatch and stuff, so if you need to gather thatch with this thing, you can do that as well. For those reasons, I definitely think the Wyvern is the best flying creature in the entire game. Just being able to go around killing as much as anything you need, you can defend yourself super easy. It's really fast as well, so you can get around the map, you can carry stuff. It's just overall insanely useful. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.